Good evening, everyone. I apologize, we're slightly late, but we had a workshop beforehand and we just had a little bit of time and everybody went downstairs and wolfed down food. So hopefully we're all doing okay up here after that. With that being said, Deb, would you kindly do roll call?
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Hancy?
Here.
Counselor Purser?
Here.
Counselor Parrish?
Here.
Counselor Quigley?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Present.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask everybody to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have an agenda before us. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, there are no changes to the agenda, but we did upload a corrected packet this morning at around 10 a.m. To reflect a minor change that was made to the financial reports on the consent agenda. Be happy to discuss more during the consent agenda item portion of the agenda.
Thank you very much. With that, Council, we have an agenda before us. We'd need a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. We have a first and a second. Last chance. All right, Deb?
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Hancy? Counselor Purser? Counselor Parrish?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. We have one proclamation this evening proclaiming January 2026 as Crime Stoppers Month in the city of Fruita. And Rich, you have eagerly said yes to doing this. So please take it away.
Okay. Whereas crime is a menace to our society, it tears apart lives and causes feelings of fear, anger, and helplessness. As caring citizens, we are obligated to do everything in our power to ensure that our communities are not victimized by criminals. And whereas the Crime Stoppers of Mesa County program has empowered the citizens of Mesa County to take a stand against crime. This program brings together citizens, law enforcement, the media, businesses, and educational institutions to combat crime and make our communities safer. And whereas combining media awareness, cash rewards, an anonymous phone tip line, and P3 Tips app for citizens to contact Crime Stoppers of Mesa County, they have created an effective method for solving crimes and helping citizens take back control over their neighborhoods. And whereas the award-winning, nationally recognized Crime Stoppers of Mesa County has been particularly effective and since 1983 has received over 23,850 tips, which have led to 1,857 arrests and the recovery of over $9,220,000 in drugs and property. Anonymous Crime Stopper callers have been rewarded $316,900 for their valuable information. And whereas Crime Stoppers of Mesa County has forged strong working relationships with all area law enforcement agencies, including the Colorado State Patrol, Fruita Police Department, Grand Junction Police Department, Mesa County Sheriff's Office, Mesa County District Attorney's Office, and the Palisade Police Department. And whereas Crime Stoppers of Mesa County is working to increase awareness of community safety issues and crime prevention efforts, while also giving back to our community by offering grants to various organizations, partnership with Colorado Mesa University, and scholarships to law enforcement graduates. Now, therefore, in official recognition, we, the undersigned, do hereby proclaim January 2026 as National Crime Stoppers Month in the city of Fruita, and call on all citizens to increase their participation in our effort to prevent crime, thereby strengthening the communities in which we live.
Thank you, Rich. and Sherry with Crime Stoppers of Mesa County, in team. Come on up. You had fair warning that you were going to, about speaking. So thank you.
Very much. Neil Liturgis, our board president, and our upcoming Crime Stopper in years to come, Harper. And I know we pack a lot of information into the proclamation, so thank you, Rich, who I think, as you all know, spent 40 years on our Crime Stopper board. We miss him, and we know you're on to other pastures, but we are still so appreciative that all of the organizations that come together help provide an avenue for people to report anonymously, and to keep our community safe and give them, I mean, last month we gave 2 rewards out. Many times people don't even pick up their rewards. I think this gives them a way to at least give information and say, I've done what I can. They don't have to go to court to testify. They remain anonymous. I know that there is a Colorado state statute that protects callers. So we just keep getting our word out and keep on keeping on. And we're in our 43rd year, if I did our math right. And yeah, we are extremely grateful. I don't see the chief here today, but we always appreciate all of our law enforcement, because without that, we know it couldn't happen. So thank you all very much for reading our proclamation and acknowledging Crime Stoppers. We're proud. We're proud to be on our board. And
You have something coming up in April, is that correct?
you tell them. Oh, come on.
Our show is on April 18th out at the fairgrounds, so
Fun.
we'd like to see everybody out there. If you have a car, you can register. Or
And then we have our golf tournament, which we've had forever. People just don't realize, I think we're the oldest golf tournament.
Oh,
in
very
the state, maybe in the United States. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Harper, before a picture gets taken, anything you'd like to add as the up and coming board member? All right. Come on up.
You guys can have Rich back if you want.
You're wrong. Yeah, it's not.
Photo op, you guys in the middle.
Downstairs and finish off what you didn't need.
Thanks, Harper. All right. Follow that. All right, next up, we have a presentation, an update on Fruita tourism marketing strategy from Barnhart Communications. But I think, Ciara, you kicking us off?
yes, I'll do an introduction. All right. Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. I'm Ciara Amen, Communications and Engagement Manager. I just want to say it's nice to see everyone tonight. It's been a while. Yay. This evening, you'll hear an update from our contract marketing agency, Barnhart Communications. They work on our tourism marketing efforts with staff and then the Tourism Advisory Council as well. And just a little bit of background. I'm the staff liaison to the Tourism Advisory Council, and we also have Ammon Pierce here tonight. He's our marketing and communications coordinator, and he works really closely in our tourism world with Barnhart and the board. And so when was it? In 2024, we went out, did an RFP to look for a new marketing agency, and the Fruita Tourism Advisory Council recommended going with Barnhart after reviewing proposals and references and doing interviews. And then you all approved that recommendation, and they began work with us in January of 2025. So they're here tonight to give you an update on how the past year how the past year went, and then also looking forward to 2026 and their plans and goals for the year. So I'll hand it over to Barnhart.
Thank you very much, Sierra. And I want to, on behalf of Barnhart, thank the City Council for the opportunity to continue to serve and support your wonderful community. We at Barnhart have really thoroughly enjoyed working with you, and importantly, Sierra and Ammon, in furthering visitor marketing. And I'll turn it over to Kim Fredericking to really take you through highlights of last year and proposed direction for this year. And we're also joined by Matt Ingleson, a creative director too. So.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
Yes, Matt is here, and Bill and I are here to present our 2025 recap. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Wonderful. Okay, so to go over some of the basics from 2025. As you know, we created and implemented a new campaign. It was previously the play. I'm forgetting the I'm forgetting the tagline at the moment. But we created a new campaign, Fruita, It's a No-Brainer, using Mike the Headless Chicken, which is part of Fruita's lore. The goal of the campaign was to build awareness and interest in Fruita as a getaway or an active vacation. The brand promise, Fruita lets you experience real outdoor adventure in a more personal and intimate way as you're part of a community of friends. We determined the brand promise after interviewing several stakeholders, touring around the city, and talking to several of you in the City Council and the Tourism Advisory Committee. And out of all of that research and the brand promise, it led us to the creative campaign that we have today, which is the memorable mascot, Mike the Headless Chicken. That's part of the lore of the city. And it broadens visitors' understanding of the community. We feature outdoor adventures and events via social media and video. And we learned last year, around this time, that Fruita was more than just mountain biking. There were so many other things that Fruita had to offer. So we used the Fruita It's a No-Brainer and Mike the Headless Chicken mascot to broaden that message and go beyond mountain biking, while still including mountain biking. For our paid media and media in general, we did paid social media, paid Google search, YouTube, the Colorado Tourism Office. We have a newsletter going out every other month, and earned media. And you may already know that we've had several reporters come to Fruita and enjoy the city and write about the city. Measurement, our advertising engagement is measured by clicks and click-through rates. Our video completion rates and our earned media exceeds the norms. Between earned media and paid media, we've had over 26 million impressions of your campaign and the articles that we've placed. The gofruita.com website traffic has grown year over year, and especially in the late summer, early fall period. Moving on to creative. This is a sampling of the creative we did in 2025. These up here are stills of the video. We did both an outdoor video with Mike the Headless Chicken as the mascot and an outdoor town, more of a family activity video. So trying to capture the outdoor adventure and then the family outdoor adventure and the beauty of the town of Fruita. Here are some of our screen capture of some of our still ads that we've run on Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook. And here are several other ads, mountain biking, some festivals, water sports, the dinosaur digs, rodeo. And down here in the corner is an example of the Colorado Tourism Office advertising. We give them some copy, some direction, and an image, and they create the ads themselves on our behalf. We also did a style guide for Fruita, for the Fruita internal team to use if they want to create any of their own Fruita It's a No-Brainer materials. Kelly, our earned media director, got a beautiful sticker for the summer media reception that we used to meet all the reporters last year. And that really stood out, and they made a great relationship and kicked off a great relationship in that way. And here are some examples of the newsletters that go out every other month. So the plans and the results of 2025, we activated the campaign across paid, earned, and owned media. Paid media included Colorado Tourism Office, the Digital Co-op, the Meta, YouTube, and Google search, as I talked about. There was heavier coverage in summer and fall and winter to drive traffic during the slower season. We heard from you guys last year that spring had a lot of great traffic already from all the events happening. So we were trying to drive traffic during the slower and the off seasons. Paid media generated 6.5 million impressions and drove 89,000 total clicks across tactics. And earned media kicked off with the media reception in April 2025. In addition to mountain biking, we highlighted other aspects of Fruita, and several reporters made press tours to Fruita throughout the year, resulting in fantastic coverage. Some of our news outlets that we received coverage in is 9 News, Denver Post, Westward, Greeley Tribune. You can see, I won't read the entire list, but as far and wide across the state of Colorado as we could get. And this is not a comprehensive list. There are more. Earned media gained over 24 million impressions alone. And then you include the paid media impressions that were generated. Launched in March 2025, the newsletter highlights local events while showcasing the experiences that draw visitors to Fruita. And the open rates of the newsletter have been above the industry average. Industry average is usually 20 to 30% open rates, and we're averaging around a 34% open rate. So we're very happy with that. And the newsletter is talking about both local events and drawing people in from outside of Fruita. So speaking to a local audience as well as a tourism audience. In 2025, this is kind of our year in review. We started with the stakeholder interviews, understanding Fruita and stakeholder needs. Creative development, we had the newsletter continue all year long, from before we even did creative until after our new creative campaign came online. We did the CTO Digital Co-op, CTO again, and then CTO a third time in 2025. We had paid social on Facebook and Instagram from when our creative development was created, and we ran a bridge campaign before it was completed. And the Google search, that's always on the entire year. And then we started YouTube in the late summer, early fall. And we had earned media opportunities the entire year. And this is the media reception note in April. So what's ahead in 2026? We are expanding efforts through several different initiatives. We're going to continue to use the existing brand and events ads that we created last year with Fruita It's No Brainer campaign. We're going to pursue unique ways of building out the campaign, a video and or traveling Mike the Headless Chicken mascot, which we're excited about. Focus on paid media, on digital media, Colorado Tourism Office again, co-op ads, and national parks ads, and digital with national parks. We're going to push earned media engagement with reporters, both statewide and regionally, hoping for a national placement. There were a couple of interests from Newsweek last year, so we're going to keep rolling with that and look for a national placement for Fruita. This year is History Colorado's 150 and, of course, the United States 250 celebration, so 150, 250. We want to talk more with Sierra and Ammon about partnering different ideas for promotion of this event. So that would be mid to late summer. Enhance digital communication through the website, newsletters, blogs, and social media. And consider new community events and partnership opportunities. We brought some new event ideas to you guys last year, and we hope to continue those ideas and move some of those forward in 2026. And then create the Fruita Co-op Tower, a new concept, a new graphic, and a new message for the tower is upcoming in 2026. So the 2026 flow chart, this is what it looks like for the upcoming year. The newsletter will be every other month all year long. The co-op tower, the silo creative, we are working on that early in the year. Creative development, we have the Mike the Headless Chicken mascot video that we're talking to the marketing team about. We have web landing pages that we're going to be developing. We have our co-op, our winter co-op, our national parks ads, and then we have the Colorado Tourism Office digital co-op for the late summer and into the fall. Again, paid social stays throughout the entire year. Google search is always on. And then there are earned media opportunities throughout the year. If there is a culinary event, we would like to jump on that as far as earned media in February. If there's not, we can still talk about all the fantastic restaurants and all the new opportunities on the food scene in Fruita in February. We have the media reception again. We're going to be attending in April. That's the Colorado Tourism Office summer media reception. And then we have the 150, 250 celebration in summer. We are doing a web audit early in the year. And then we're going to be writing blogs for your website. And maybe some of those messages can translate to social media. And partnerships and events, we'd like to partner with you and provide different ideas for different partners and different events throughout the year. And the next steps, we're going to be presenting to the Tourism Advisory Committee on Thursday, finalizing the marketing plan and getting sign off with the marketing team, and of course, implementing the plan. And then in February, we're going to be talking to the City Council with input from the Tourism Advisory Committee on the silo or the co-op creative. And then every month we have a status meeting and ongoing regular communication with Sierra and Ammon, and then monthly updates to the Tourism Advisory Committee. That's our update. Are there any questions?
Bring it back. Have anything you'd like to add before bring it back to council? All right.
How many people are subscribed to that newsletter?
Around 8,000.
Cool.
Mhm.
Nice.
What does earned media mean versus the paid media? What does the earned?
Earned media is media that you don't pay for, you earn it from reporters. So it's public relations.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is great. I like the presentation and the information that we're given. It sounds like we get.
You can do the mic.
It's. I really like we're seeing the fruits of our contribution to receive this for marketing, and it's seems like we're getting our worth out of it. So it's really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for the overview for sure. And I am very happy and was happy when I was looking over our packet to see that the silo is pretty much the silo art and is the first thing to be done this year, because we're very anxious to get that out and about. So thank you for putting that at the beginning of the year.
Very excited about it too.
Question on your clicks and your pay-per-clicks. Is there a way to correlate that to outcomes?
I think that would be, yes. We would have to work with you guys to understand the lodging revenue, foot traffic in the city, other different city measurements, and then work that against the media, like when we spent the media. Bill, do you have any other input on that?
It's difficult to have a causal relationship between clicks and actual travel intent, and then actual visitation. I think probably a better read is website traffic, which we have seen an increase, particularly later in the year, late summer and fall. So I think that's a very encouraging early indicator of travel interest and intent.
Just out of curiosity, so when you talk about, the clicks, website traffic, what is, and I don't know if this is something you can answer in terms of when you see an uptick in website traffic, is that normally a 30, 60-day lag between when people would actually arrive? Do we have an idea of what that timeline is? I know you can't say, oh, it's 47 and a half days. I understand that, but just looking for a good estimation.
You stumped them.
Yeah. I don't know if there's an exact, I don't know if you can say, 20% of the people that click on the website are going to book an Airbnb. I don't know if you can.
Well, let me rephrase the question. So if there is a big time where you want to push tourism in month 6, when do you up those advertising? Is that like month 4? Like as you're trying to push, like you talked about off season.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
if you're like, oh, we
summers-
want to push it here, we start on this, this month.
Yeah, there's definitely a lead time a couple months before. I mean, you definitely want to garner interest in the season, but then there's also event-specific advertising. For example, the rodeo, that's more of a quick turnaround advertising. We're doing both branding and event ads. So the branding is keeping interest in Fruita in those off seasons in general, and then we're driving immediate traffic with the event ads to the different events that we created ads for.
I think that represents a good line of inquiry this year is to segment your visitor base in terms of, let's say, long-term planned vacation versus short-term versus immediate. Because, for example, in our work with the state of Wyoming and the town of Breckenridge, clearly longer distance tends to corroborate with more of a planned trip or a planned vacation versus more adjacent markets or more front range, for example, visitation tends to be shorter term. So I think that's your line of questioning warrants further study this year's to better define the characteristics of the visitor.
And I know year 1, you're just kind of starting to gather and then you start to dice it down the road. So my last question, I promise, is not a gotcha question. Can you explain a little bit about the media reception? Like, what is that? Where is it?
Yeah, the Colorado Tourism Office, the CTO Media Reception, is a reception in Metro Denver. And it's basically everyone that's interested in tourism and travel in Colorado. All the reporters that are relevant to what we're doing with Fruita. So our public relations people, Kelly and Tracy, attend this media reception, and they meet all the reporters that are interested or could potentially be interested in reporting on Fruita or outdoor events or mountain biking or food events, and they get to know them. And they basically put a bug in their ear and say, hey, Fruita's out there and we're willing to work with you and we're excited for you to come to see Fruita and report on it.
Will Mike make an appearance?
We talked about that actually.
Yeah, possibly.
He'd be pretty eye-catching.
That would be good. Yeah, is there anything we can do to encourage that? Because I think that would be really a home run to get Mike there.
I'd say no brainer.
We just need somebody
winner.
willing to wear a Mike the Headless Chicken suit
Oh,
at the
there he
meeting.
is.
There's any
Boy, do we have a
volunteers?
guy.
We know a guy.
We could take some video too. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike visits the big city.
Oh, there's a whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Any other questions?
I wanted to add, the kind of along the same lines of the media one. I was curious about the culinary one in February. What's that? Can you guys talk about that a little bit more?
What you're looking for there?
Yeah, the February culinary event. What is that? You're wanting to do something, or what is that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've been hearing about all the exciting restaurants and all the new restaurants and the redone restaurants and Josephine's and all the things for a year, and we're so excited about all the food and all the food potential in Fruita. We came up with several different event ideas in 2025, and you talk about lead time. We realize events are a long lead time proposal, right? You can't just create an event in a month. But we're really excited about this idea of a culinary event or kind of a fruita foodie type event. We proposed doing it in winter because you guys are not as busy in winter. Mountain biking slows down a little bit in winter. The outdoor sports slow down a little bit in winter. So, what better way to bring people to Fruita than to talk up your wonderful food scene? So, we proposed an event in winter, and we are told that there might be some work with the chamber on a culinary event, but overall, we'd love to see a full-on culinary event happening in winter every year, from whenever we can put it together. And by we, I mean you guys doing an event for the restaurants. But yeah, we'd like to promote that. And even with or without an event, we've been talking about reporters coming to Fruita to take a look at all the new restaurants that you have. And I know Camilla's has changed over to KJ's Kitchen. We have Josephine's, Base Camp Provisions. There's a tavern. One of the bars changed over to a tavern. There's so many wonderful changes. We want the reporters that cover food in the state to talk about Fruita.
Is that going to be something that you guys are going to bring? You said you're going to come see us next month and we're going to talk about the silo. Is there a possibility that we could have a little bit of conversation about what this would look like?
I think so. I don't see why not. Yeah. Yeah.
Not to make that meeting any longer, but I definitely know by talking to some of the restaurateurs that would have been nice to have an event right around now.
Just so you know,
kind
it's
of
the chamber's launching a passport.
okay, like they did for
Yeah, a culinary passport starting, I think, this week and next week. They're launching that program. Sarah, they should be sending you, if they haven't already, some information on that to help support them.
That sounds great. I mean, had we had this going too, we could have coincided them. So I think that'd be great. If you guys were into it, I would like to hear what they.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Well, and it
Yeah.
might be a fun thing to kind of like coincide with our winter concert. So,
Absolutely.
like, hey, let's sample all the restaurants and then end up
Yeah.
at, the plaza.
Well, and it's too late for this year, but it would give us a good head start for next year.
Might be a good thing for the chambers downtown. Yeah,
The 31st.
yes, that might be a good group to collaborate on that with.
Awesome. Just looking around to see if there's any other questions.
Just a comment that sitting on the advisory board, it's been a real welcome change to see the amount of increased communication and the flow of information that comes from you in your reports to that committee. And this kind of a presentation is just extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's
Thank
night
you.
and day since I had to have that spot.
And I didn't have a whole lot of exposure to the previous,
You're very fortunate. These guys are doing a great job.
so thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rich. Anything else? Sarah, any last comments? All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys.
Have a good night.
We're looking forward to
Thank
the next
you.
presentation.
See you next month.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, good. All right, next we have public participation and consent agenda. But before we open up to public comment, we should probably have the notes on the consent agenda before then. So Shannon, do you want to touch on real quick the changes on the financials? Change?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr.
Give me a
Mayor,
time.
Council. We just had I'm already out of time. That is actually not at all surprising. So we just had one quick change this morning to our financial reports cover sheet. So I'm pulling this up right now. So on page 17 of your packet, we had a formula error in one of the graphs. So this first page, this graph shows, a summary of sales and use tax revenues for November, and these two columns on the right show the change from the prior year and then the change between the actual and budget year to date. Our lodging tax one was incorrect. And actually, it does need to show a positive number now. So we have that updated in the packet. So we are ahead in budget with almost all of our sources of revenue. In the general fund, our city sales tax is at 3.66 million through 11 months, but our budget is 3.7. So we anticipate we'll exceed that. But just cleaning up just that one portion on the financial reports.
Thank you. All right. So, like I said earlier, we're at our public participation and consent agenda. This portion of our meeting is set aside for City Council to listen to comments from the public about items not on tonight's agenda or items that appear on the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are those for which all conditions or requirements have already been met, and they are typically approved with a single motion without separate discussion. We welcome and value your input to help maintain a welcoming, respectful, and productive environment. We ask that there be no clapping, cheering, booing, jeering, or sign holding. This helps ensure that everyone, regardless of their viewpoint, feels comfortable sharing their thoughts. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and we ask that you begin by stating your full name and address for the record. If you have materials you'd like to share with council, please hand them to our city clerk, Deb Woods, so that they can be entered into the public record and distributed appropriately. While council will not respond during this portion of the meeting, please know that we are listening, and we greatly appreciate you taking the time to participate in this very important process. So with that, I'd like to open up the floor to anybody that would like to discuss something either not on the agenda or that's on consent. All right. Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to council. Remember, if somebody wants to pull something off consent, they certainly can for further discussion.
I don't want to pull something off, but I do have a question about item F. At the risk of sounding very old-fashioned, the Placer AI and the idea is to get a better idea of our events and the foot traffic and who and how and all of those things. To be able to do that, you will have more cameras monitoring things. You will have location on people's phone. How does that happen? And are we actually comfortable with how that happens?
Yeah, so this is actually Placer AI is a software that we've been interested in using for a number of years. It's always been a little too cost prohibitive to justify out of our marketing and promotion fund, just because there's a lot of data that we've never had access to, like how many people attend, certain events and where do they come from, et cetera. So yeah, it is all based upon cellular data that people voluntarily agree to. So the information the 2-year contract before you will allow us to have access to that for 2 years, which I think is a good amount because we're able to kind of see that, point in time, and we can also look back several years. But yeah, it's just a lot of data and can help inform decision making, everything from our economic development efforts to our tourism efforts as well. So that's why we're recommending moving forward with that. The Chamber's also requested it. Town of Palisade uses it. The City of Grand Junction has used it for a very long time. So it's just helpful data to have, who's coming, where they're coming from, et cetera.
So the majority of that information comes from cell phones then?
All of it, yeah.
Okay.
To be clear, we're not tracking individuals, it's aggregated information.
I
Big brother.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not an overall fan of the idea, but it's fine. It's fine.
Just a quick question with the EV thing.
Mhm.
Can you just kind of give a quick and dirty on that one, and then how does it really impact what we've done or our process that we currently have? Is it just a statutory thing that we're doing and we're already doing it, or what?
Yeah, I see Henry walking up, but by the time he walks up, I think I'll be done answering this question. But the state legislator passed a law last year that said we have to make it easier for the land use review for EV charging stations. Now, we've actually already made a lot of changes to our codes within the last several years that actually a lot of things are done through administrative approval. So they're mandating a lot of these changes. But as municipality, we do have the opportunity to opt out of that law, basically knowing that we meet practically the bulk of the criteria. However, we recognize that installing EV chargers are already easy, in Fruita, and we'll probably just continue to use our existing code to meet those guidelines instead of amend our code to meet these new statutory requirements. Henry?
Ditto.
Yeah.
Henry.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for hustling up here. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Could have took your
Let
time.
him get back there and then think about
Yeah.
I'd also like to acknowledge Stephen Sparks, who knows what he's in for with Parks and Recs, signed up for another 3 years.
Yay.
So he can't claim ignorance on that one. So thank you, Stephen. And also to Destiny Chase for volunteering for the Arts and Culture Board. So I want to acknowledge their willingness to participate on those boards. Any
I
other-
move to approve the consent
It's not.
agenda as presented.
Second.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Seeing none. Deb?
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley, Counselor Miller, Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great. Thank you very much. We're going to head on into public hearing and action items, of which we have 3 action items. The first one is Resolution 2026-03, amending the 26 budget with supplemental appropriations of funds for land acquisition in downtown Fruita. Shannon, our city manager, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council, for the opportunity to present. The resolution before you appropriates $305,000 in the general fund for the purchase of 166 South Plum Street. About a month ago, the property owner of that home came to the city because it's located just west of our Fruita Police Department, and she was using it as a short-term rental and was getting ready to sell it. So she asked, if the city would be interesting in purchasing that property, and being that it's in our downtown core, it's right next to a city facility. There could be a lot of interesting economic development uses for that property in the future. We went and took a look at it and then decided that would be in the best interest of the council to pursue purchasing that. So got under contract for that, and we are scheduled to close this week, assuming this budget resolution passes, as well as the resolution after this. But this property right next to our police department, it can be used for a variety of different things. If the police department ever has to expand, we'll probably need to acquire that land anyway. If there are any businesses in the area that are ever interested in expanding, we could own that. That could be an option to help maybe incentivize that deal. If we need more parking in the future, that could also be an option. We have an interim need for employee housing, stuff like that. It could be options. So really just think it's the best choice to approve, this supplemental appropriation to go ahead and move on purchasing the property. One quick note, there isn't a specific source of general fund funds that are designated for this, mostly because we don't know the use yet. We'll be having that discussion with council soon. So if it's used for economic development or public safety, we'll probably just redesignate what funds were used to purchase this property. So with that concludes my presentation, Mr. Mayor and Council. Always happy to answer questions after public comment.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to open up for public comment on Resolution 2026-03. Would anybody like to comment? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public participation and bring it back to council. Okay, don't all jump at once.
This one's a Fruita no-brainer. Like, it makes a whole lot of sense. It really does. Like, for so many reasons, just like Shannon said, I think it's going to be great to have an option for.
It was nice to see the property owner reach out and be like that she knew the value that it can be for the entire community. It was great that we had that opportunity to
Long.
Yeah,
time
taking
for a
advantage of
family.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Just for clarification, it's the best, we talked about it being in the best interest of the city. I think you said best interest of the council.
Oh,
Let's just make sure.
the council and the city.
There you go. Any other questions or comments? All right, is there a motion?
I move to adopt resolution 2026-03, amending the 2026 budget for supplemental appropriations in the general fund for land acquisition in downtown Fruita.
I think you got that one. Last chance for questions or comments.
None.
All right, seeing none. Deb?
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley, Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi. Motion passes 6-0.
All right, great. Thank you. Next up, Resolution 2026-06, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute and effectuate all closing documents related to the purchase of real property located at 166 South Plum Street, Fruita, Colorado. Shannon, you're still up.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Since we just appropriated funding for the purchase of 166 South Plum, Council now needs to give me the authorization to close on the property, which is scheduled for tomorrow. So same reasons that I think the city is interested in purchasing this property, and I'd be happy to answer any questions after public comment, and staff recommends approval.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. With that, I'd like to open up for public comment on Resolution 2026-06.
Tessa Bynum, 255 North Ash Street, Fruita. Okay, so I just want to say this property is 0.14 acres. In that space, you can, with accessibility, parking, you can put roughly 17 parking spots. And you were paying what, like $305,000 for this parking spot. So I'm not math. I don't math. That is not what my degree is in. That is not what I focus on. So I don't know what that breaks down to for a parking spot. I also don't know how big of a building you can expand for a police department on that side of the lot, but I support whatever decision you guys are going to make, but realistically, for the size of that lot, I don't think that any of the ideas that were just mentioned for that location are plausible. It's like, we're going to build a skyscraper on this lot that is this big. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Tess. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public participation and bring it back to council.
Shannon, do you anticipate us closing on this property? Will that create maybe a situation where other local property owners might in the future also be interested in doing something similar?
Yeah, I think that's the goal. And we've actually had surrounding property owners, not just this one, but last year, reach out to us to see if we were interested in purchasing their property at the time. You know, I think looking back to a few of those conversations, we were way too far apart on what we thought value was. But yeah, with any of these approaches, you'd probably want to acquire multiple. And it really just depends on the use too. So if it's going to be, some sort of tool, we'd have to evaluate down the line. This is probably just one of a few that we would like to eventually acquire.
And it's common practice, right? To just if you look at your economic development, kind of where things are going, to pick up parcels as they become available.
Yeah, especially ones that are located adjacent to city facilities or in downtown cores for sure.
Any additional questions or comments? All right, if we would need a motion, otherwise it's going to be awkward for Shannon tomorrow.
I move to
So the normal process is the resolution, there's a presentation, then we bring it, open it up for public comment. If nobody comes up, or if people come up and speak, if nobody comes up afterwards, then we go ahead and close it. Did I cut you off? So that would not be as part of this. So
That'd be during the consent.
yes.
General questions would be earlier in the meeting. But
Right.
happy to
Or
talk after.
otherwise, yeah, I was about to say, otherwise hang around and you can talk to Shannon or any one of us up here. All right.
I move to approve Resolution 2026-06, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute and effectuate all closing documents related to the purchase of real property located at 166 South Plum Street, Fruita, Colorado.
Okay, first,
Second.
Rich, is there a second? Any other questions or comments? Like seeing none. Deb?
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much, Deb. We have our final action item tonight, Resolution 2026-08, Housing Needs Assessment in the Housing Action Plan adoption. Henry Hempel, you are up. Sorry, Henry Hempel, our Planning Director.
Oh.
You are up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Great to be with you tonight. I wrote something down that I feel like is necessary to kind of talk about before we kick it to our consultant that's going to do the bulk of the talking tonight. But I think we're definitely at an important milestone for not only the city of Fruita, but this study that we've been conducting the last 8 to 6 months. So tonight marks an important milestone for the city as we consider final adoption of the Housing Needs Assessment. I want to begin by thanking everyone who helped us reach this point, our city staff, community partners, and especially Points for their expertise and guidance through this process. We are also grateful to the Colorado Department of Local Affairs for their support and to the many residents, employers, and stakeholders who took the time to complete the housing survey and provide thoughtful feedback. The Housing Needs Assessment is not a static report. It is a dynamic guiding document that reflects our community's current conditions and priorities. It will help inform policy decisions, funding decisions, and strategic actions over the next several years as we work responsibly to plan for Fruita's future. With that, I'll turn the time over to Points Consultant.
Thank you, Henry. So quiet.
Sorry. We see.
Yeah,
Yes, we
do.
can.
Yes.
I think with all of the technological advancements that computers could hold a charge, but
Yeah.
Only for
If
6
only.
months.
okay, yeah. Well, having me here today, really excited to talk to you guys about the Housing Needs Assessment and Housing Action Plan. Before I start, I wanted to check to see if Brian Points, our firm president, had anything to say to kick us off real quick.
I'm here and I do. Is my audio okay?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Well, I also wish to thank everybody on council and the mayor and Henry and the citizens for working with us on this project. It's made successful because there's buy-in from people like you, and we feel that this has been a very successful project. It's been an honor to work with you on it. What we hope you see in this is we've set you up for the next 20 years for having a good idea of where your housing market is going and for meeting the requirements of State Bill 24174, which Carson will talk a bit more about as well, but has to do with ensuring that there's sustainable, affordable housing in your community. When we do projects like this, we aim to meet those state requirements, but we don't just stop there. There are occasions where you can kind of sense that a community just wants to meet the requirements and then be done with it. We haven't sensed that from the city of Fruita. We felt that you all have really embraced it and want to really use this as a tool. So just want to say thank you again. Very confident that Carson's going to do a great job of presenting all of the work that we've put into this. And I'll turn it back over to him.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, yeah, here we go. We'll just jump right into it then. So this will be our agenda for tonight. Kind of just give some background on our team and some of our expertise, and then briefly touch on the project timeline where we executed the project, and then start with some more acknowledgements and kind of introduction to the project, including some background on State Bill 24174 and but then going beyond that, how this document can really be guiding and useful for you guys planning your housing needs. And then jumping into some data, some key findings that we found, the housing needs by income level and everything that goes along with that. And then touch on some community engagement parts and finally the housing action plan, where all of this work kind of came into to give you guys a plan moving forward to take action over the next 6 years or so until a new one of these is needed. And then Q&A from you all or else. So this is our team. We, Brian and Robin are here today with me. Robin has done a ton of background research on this project. She was here with me in September conducting interviews with folks. So thanks to her a lot for all the work she put in, and Brian for letting me take the lead on a lot of this. Also wanted to shout out Ty Johnson. He was our subcontractor on this project. He was here in September, and he made an appearance at the farmers market to talk to folks about the survey and the project, and kind of push some stuff forward there as well. But we have lots of local Colorado and Southern Utah experience, particularly with DOLA funded projects as well. So hitting all of those requirements that are needed, and a lot of land use, GIS expertise, real estate forecasting, all of that sort of experience to really help you all understand the housing market here today and hopefully in the future. Some relevant projects, 100 plus projects total, 10 projects in the state of Colorado, and then 3 housing specific projects. This is about the last 5 years or so that the company has been around. So recently we've completed several in Colorado. In Rifle, we just completed this one back in November. So another one kind of in the Grand Valley area. And then Ridgeway in Uray County, that was a multi-jurisdictional regional housing needs assessment. And so that's just about 2-hour drive south there. And they just, the town of Ridgeway just adopted that in December. So that's great news there. And then Woodland Park and City of Montrose as well. So this was our project timeline. We started way back in June collecting data and going through some background research. And then we came here and visited you guys in July and had a work session with you all, which was great. And over the course of the project, we've had a survey open. We've submitted several drafts to our steering committee and to Henry to go over and review, give us some feedback to make sure we're hitting on all the things that's required for the local context, which is very important. Any questions there? So yeah, as Henry thanked me, I just wanted to shout him out as well. He really facilitated this whole project, really helped us out with any data that we needed to conduct the project locally. And then City Council, you all as well being here, thank you. And our steering committee was composed of several key housing individuals in the region. Dara, Adam, Emily, Jenny, and Amy. Thank you guys specifically for being there, giving us some feedback on the project and helping us out with strategies and all of that. And then Shannon, Dan, and Mr. Mayor, thank you also for being interviewees on the project. So this is State Bill 24174, and so along with a litany of other things, it established requirements at the state level for communities to conduct these housing needs assessments and for them to be done every 6 years or so. And so these are the required data inputs and the required outputs for the HNA. And I hope as we go through here, you guys will see that we went kind of far beyond this to try and make it more helpful and more useful to you all. Because as Brian said, that's really what we aim to do. We want to make sure it's fully compliant so that you all don't have folks at DOLA barking up a tree and whatnot. But and so I also want to be clear that the document that I'm presenting to you all tonight is the housing needs assessment and housing action plan. Technically 2 separate documents, but for you all, we combined it into one. So that should hit on 2 key points, both required. Any question?
No, I think because this will have to go to public comment, I think we need to work through it and then
Work
bounce
it back around.
backwards.
We can do that. Okay. Aside from the state bill and this being a required activity, there are a lot of other reasons that this can be really helpful. And one of the tools that we like to use to communicate the housing needs and why this is useful is the housing ladder. And so in a functional housing ladder, communities have all the rungs available to all the community members, depending on what stage of life they're at. As we grow up and are in high school, we live at home with our parents and then move off to college, apartment, hopefully, starter home after that, and moving all the way up to our own home eventually. But in some communities, there are broken rungs on the ladder. So when there are broken rungs, the housing system, the housing ladder doesn't work. The housing market doesn't function as well. That's when we start falling into certain groups being cost-burdened, spending a lot of their money on housing, which restricts their budgets, restricts the local economy and the community. And so this is what we've tried to do in our housing needs assessment is find out which rungs are missing and then try to give you guys the tools to put those back into place and to fix the housing ladder. And then another way that we're connecting this is to AMI, and that stands for Area Median Income. And that's basically just a convoluted way of chopping up how much households earn and putting them into specific buckets in terms of how much they earn annually. And so a lot of the times we find that the rungs on the ladder correlate to these different AMI groupings. And so that's one of the things that we try to do as well. And then this graphic here shows some of the typical occupations in Fruita that align with these AMI. So that can kind of create some real world connections between what's required, what's missing, how that can help folks specifically. And so before jumping into a lot of the data and the key findings, I just wanted to touch on the fact that we've kind of heard this before a little bit, but Fruita is really doing a fantastic job of addressing housing needs already, and I just kind of want to applaud you all on that. But starting from the beginning, back when the comprehensive plan was completed in 2020, well, said housing is an issue. That's what we heard. That's what we see. And then the Fruita Muse, 50 units that are restricted rentals for folks in the area. That's a huge success. And this is not a typical LIHTC development, like those big ugly box apartment buildings. Like this has lots of shared open space, green space, single family attached rentals. This is a really great development. And then the Oaks redevelopment, kind of reutilizing assets that are already here in the community, another step forward in that being more of a mixed market rate and development, another really great effort. And then the Housing Authority, you all putting that together and sitting on the board of that yourselves, that shows that you guys are putting effort into it too. No one is making you do that. So that's great. And then the Prop 123 land banking grant, density bonus in the city code, accessory dwelling unit support. And so just credit to all you guys and to the city for putting efforts towards this. For any questions? So here we have our land capacity analysis. And so in the housing market, supply and demand of housing is really key, really critical for the market at any one point in time. But a key step prior to that is assessing the land availability. And so what we did is we took GIS parcel information from the county and we narrowed it down to the Fruita area, the Fruita UGB specifically, urban growth boundary. And then we went through all of the parcels and we removed all of the topographical constraints, floodplains, steep slopes, everything like that, which not a lot of steep slopes in Fruita. And then taking out parcels that would never be used for residential uses, like based on zoning or school district owned, public facilities owned, that sort of thing. And then we had our list of eligible parcels, and we categorized it by them being either vacant, redevelopable, or underutilized. And then we took assumed densities from each zoning district to try to create an estimate of how many housing units could go on those parcels, depending on zoning and depending on which category of land they're in. And so we didn't use maximum density standards because we find in communities they don't usually go to the maximum density. And so that's where the assumed densities kind of come in, assessing what developments have density they've actually taken and then using that. So it's a more realistic estimate, just a total max in terms of housing. And so ultimately we found that the city land today could accommodate about 664 more housing units, with the majority of that being in community residential areas. And then we don't really take that step to calculate the number of housing units on undeveloped, underdeveloped, or underutilized land, because sometimes it doesn't really work out that way in terms of what's developed and what's not. Sometimes those become different community assets that are used for different things, so we choose to forego that. But we still have the estimates in terms of the number of parcels and acres available to you all there. And then this is just a map of our development categories by parcels in the city. And so you can see the blue outline, it's Fruita's urban growth boundary. And then a couple other boundaries here was the triangle of the city, and then the neighborhood commercial overlay zone. About some business uses in residential areas that work well with residential uses that are already there. And then so you can kind of see where the land is that's totally vacant, underutilized, and undeveloped. It might be hard to see the underutilized parcels, the orange ones, because they're in the core triangle. They're all really small. By definition, those were restricted to the downtown mixed use. So jumping into some of the more housing statistics, in terms of home price levels, this is what we found. Utilizing data from homes that are bought and sold in Fruita, the median home, the average priced home in Fruita is about $536,000. And so, but if we're looking back to those AMI categories if a household is earning 100% of the regional median household income, they could afford $454,000. That's around $95,000 is that household income earnings to be able to afford that home. And then, so for comparison, the average price home in Colorado is closer to $457,000. So one of the things that we kind of missed here on the first time around that I wanted to touch on is how this has changed over time. So since January of 2020, that median home value has increased by about $275,000. And so sometimes dollars don't mean a whole lot, but that's about an 86% increase in that time. So really huge jumps in prices since that time. And then also mortgage rates a lot higher, which have a significant impact on the month-to-month affordability of these units. Used to be around 3.3% in that January 2020 period that I was talking about. Now they're north of 6%. So that really, really hurts households' ability to buy a home. So what we also see here is that a household would need to be in the 110% to 120% AMI level to afford that average price home. So they would need to be earning 105 to 113,000 to afford the median priced home that is bought and sold in Fruita. So moving further into some more gaps and barriers analysis, this is really some of the key stuff with possibly statistics, what kinds of households in Fruita can afford to buy a home. And so one of the key findings that we have here is that Fruita renters are actually less likely to be cost burdened overall than some of these other comparison levels, which is good. That's a positive sign. Fruita's acting from a position of strength there. But for first-time home buyers, so these are folks that are currently renting, have not bought a home yet. 87% of those folks in Fruita could not afford that median priced home at that $536,000 mark that we were looking at. And then we like to kind of cut this a couple different ways, but if we look at the bottom tier homes, that would be homes that bottom 25% of homes that are bought and sold in Fruita, not a significantly better outcome. So part of that has to do with incomes that people are earning as well. Still hard for them to afford those homes. So trying to connect some of those statistics to local workers and commuting statistics, I showed you guys this back in November when we visited as well. But this is a really key point that I like to come back to. Only 31% of workers in Fruita also live in the city. So that points to those affordability challenges there, that folks that are working here can't afford the housing that is here. But there's another outcome here as well, which is that only 16% of residents work in Fruita. So just kind of another interesting statistic that shows that the jobs available here aren't quite the ones that people want, but people still like to live here. So then more housing options will provide more opportunities for those local workers. So I also wanted to briefly touch on our population forecast. And so we forecasted the population of Fruita about 20 years into the future. So we expect pretty modest growth over that time period, between about 920 new residents and 2015 new residents over the next 20 years. That's about 7% and 15% growth in that area. And so under both of these scenarios, less than 1% per year. So we're not seeing outrageous growth, but in a lot of rural communities, they're seeing population declines potentially forecasted. And so we definitely don't see that for Fruita. We see strong but modest population growth going into the future. And so with that forecasted population growth, folks need housing units, and it's not all concentrated in one spot, as you can see. So one of the things that I wanted to go over here was kind of the difference where we separate this out between market-driven and needs-driven. And so this is actually the new housing units needed by income level over the next 10 years. And so in our market-driven scenario, this would be if those new housing units were built towards the current income distribution of residents in Fruita. And so as you can see in this scenario, yes, we need more single family homes in that 150% plus AMI group, but you see across all income groups that new housing units will be needed across all of those affordability levels. And so as well, in the needs-driven forecast, this is where if those same number of housing units were built towards the cost burden of folks at these various income levels, that would be a lot closer to the bottom of the income distribution. A lot more folks in the 0 to 30%, 30 to 50%, 50 to 80% income groups. Those are the most cost burdened individuals. So spending 30% or more of their income on housing being cost burdened.
Is this rental and own?
Yes, this is
total units.
Total
needed
units
in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And so on that, this is about 390 new units will be needed according to our higher forecast level, which is what we expect to happen over the next 20 years. But to kind of put some of this into perspective, in this 80 to 100% category, the 50 units in the market driven and then 36 units in the needs driven, those types of units would be a lot like the Oaks redevelopment. Just kind of trying to put some faces to the names here. And then in the 0 to 80%, that would be more projects, more developments like the Muse. And then more than that, if we go into those further ends, 120 to 150%, 150% plus typical single family home subdivision developments.
And so this, like
we can keep it to clarifying questions just because we have to do public comment.
Okay.
Sorry, Aaron.
We'll come back. Save that question.
Actually, I apologize. This is Mary Elizabeth Geiger, the city attorney. Mr. Mayor, if the council wants to ask questions during the presentation, that is fine. Just to make sure that people don't lose track of what was talked about by the end of the presentation.
Aaron, I stand corrected.
Thank you. So with the market driven, that is how many homes total was that you were saying?
That's still the 390 more in the next 10 years.
And so that has a correlation with that prior slide with growth, that estimated growth, right? Is that kind of where?
Yeah, so that'll be our potential growth scenario. Yeah, the higher one. That's what we see. We have this lower that we call the expected. We probably need to change that language, but we expect the potential growth to happen. So moving on to some more statistics on the actual housing supply of homes in Fruita. And so one of the things that we found here, particularly starkly, is that 85% of the housing stock are one unit structures. And so that kind of leads us to see the signal that the housing supply in Fruita is pretty undiversified, only primarily one type of housing unit, which restricts folks in terms of what they can afford, as we saw with the increasing home prices and mortgage rates. And then at the same time, owner occupancy is really high, about 80%. It's probably closer to 65% at the national level, so quite a bit higher there. And then we're not really seeing this trend change. About 75% of the housing units that have been permitted since January 2020 are single family homes. So not quite going in that direction that we'd like to see with some more diversified housing stock. But on the bright side, the housing supply is relatively new in the city. 47% of units built in 2000 or more recently. So you're seeing lots of recent development, which is good. High demand compared to that's only about 24% in the nation. So really good there.
You maybe are going to get to this real quick, but the 80% occupancy, I think you said in your study, which I mean, that's incredible. But a good chunk of those people bought their houses quite a while back. And if they took their income right now and tried to buy the house they're in, they couldn't do it.
Yes. So we can jump back to that real quick. This is where we see the all households number here. If they were to try to purchase a home today, like set aside that capital that they have, only 77% would not, be able to afford that home.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Scary number.
It's very scary. So much of it is scary. It is important. Exactly. It's very important.
And so this is one of the key signals that we see of that strong demand, a really low vacancy rate, less than 4%. And then you see Colorado higher than 8%, US higher than 10%. So people want to live here. The units here get snapped up. And so that's strong demand for housing. People want to live here, which is a good thing. And then, Aaron, this one was for you. You asked for some rental statistics back in November, so I wanted to share some of these with you all. Firstly, statistics on the rental market are harder to come by, but with our various open source and publicly available data sets, this is what we were able to come up with. And so you can see in the two top charts, both the number and the share of renter occupied units have fallen since their peak in 2018. In terms of the absolute number is about 1,700 rental units in 2018. That's down to about 1,000 now. So that's a pretty steep decline. And then in terms of the share of occupied renter housing units, it used to be about 33%, which was more on par with the county and just slightly lower than Colorado. And so what does this mean in terms of prices? So what we have down here is the Housing and Urban Development Fair Market Rent, the FMR, those price trends. And so this is not a good metric in terms of what the actual rental prices are in Fruita, but the fair market rents will follow the real market rents in terms of increasing or not, because it's pegged at the 40th percentile of market rents in the city. But market rents are only available to those who collect it, really. So since 2016, rents in Fruita for the 2-bedroom, which is a pretty good median rent price, have increased about 62%. And so that correlates with that decline in rental supply, reducing the competition in the market. Any questions there?
So is that basically saying that the renters are just moving out of here? Is that kind of what that's indicative of that number being at 1,718 down to?
That's potentially what it's saying, that they're moving out because because it's become too expensive. Some units might be transitioning. They might just, people
That's
might
a
have.
pretty big number though.
It is.
So the big change that happened in 2018 was our oil and gas industry, which was a huge housing driver for Fruita. That's when that went away. So our younger, higher income earners, who were, a lot of them were renting, they left. And so we saw a shift. That's
But the population didn't go down, so then people came in and bought.
So they converted from rentals to
They would have
occupied.
they would have converted to owner occupied, or, more recently, potentially short-term rentals a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing. And so these data are slightly outdated. This is the 2023 5-year estimates from census. And so I know more recently that there have been some rental developments put in, like the Aspen Avenue apartments, the Mulberry apartments, Fruita Muse. Those are all good, but we still see those increase in rents. So now we're going to go ahead and touch on some community engagement things. So this is a timeline that we put together of all the times that we engage with you all and with the Fruita community. And so one of the things that we want to put out there is that we really tried our best to engage early and often with everyone. So our first time kind of interacting with you all was back in July when we came for that city council workshop session. And then we had Ty Johnson was there at the Fruita Farmers Market on September 13th. And so he was kind of pushing out our survey, talking about the project a little bit. Then Robin and I were in town in September and we did our community tour. Henry took us around to see some developments and kind of get a feel for the community. And then we hold various stakeholder interviews with some of you all. And then our community survey was open from about mid-August, mid-October, trying to collect responses from all kinds of folks in the community. Then we did, like I said, city council meeting check-in presentation in November to kind of bring you guys up on the process and see what we've been doing. And then in December, the final draft of the HNA and HAP was published to the city's website for a formal public comment period. I think we're over 30 days on that now, so it's been open for quite a while. We've gotten some here and there, but not too many. And then here we are today for the final public hearing presentation in January. So these are some survey results that I wanted to share with you all one more time. About 540 qualified survey responses, which led us to about a 5.5% response rate, depending on the adult population at the time. And so based on the response rate and the number of responses, we're 95% confident that the survey reflects actual sentiments of the residents within about 4.1% in either direction, depending on the result, depending on the question, the answer. And so our main strategy for collection was paid Facebook ads. We tried to boost those on Facebook to try to get folks to take it. It was posted on the city's website, city's social media, and we told folks about it in our interviews. The Fruita Fall Fest booth, Robin was here, as you can see, the lovely setup there in the picture, and then the farmers market booth as well. So now we'll go ahead and jump into our housing action plan. And so one of the things that I wanted to touch on here again is that a lot of this is based on requirements from the Senate Bill 24174. And so a lot of this is what they like to see, but we tried to go above and beyond. They don't dictate like what exactly these recommendations can be, only that you need them. And so we tried to come up with them in the best way possible to serve the community. We tried to get input from our steering committee. Amy gave us some input. Henry gave us a lot of input on this. And so we've got this separated out into about 3 goals. and then around 10 to 11 actual strategies that are underneath each of those goals. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into those here. So our first goal for the housing action plan is to encourage housing diversity. And so the key factors that pointed us in this direction was those statistics earlier. 85% of units in the city are one unit developments. That's a really high number compared to elsewhere, and it's really restrictive in terms of options for folks, especially in the kind of price spiral that we've seen in mortgage rates. It's just really hard to afford right now, so people need different kinds of options. And then that 80% owner occupancy rate, that in Colorado in the state, 66%, 65% at the national level, so that's really high also. I know we were just talking about all of the rental market things. But so one of the other main drivers here is that limited options for folks can also really hamper the competition in the housing market when you only have one kind, or you have limited rentals. And that really gives landlords more power to kind of push those rents up further as much as they can without more options for people to see. And then having more options available we're not just saying build a bunch of apartments. I, for one, don't think that's very indicative of Fruita. I've been working here for several months now, and that just doesn't seem to be the fit. But what we do want to see is those more middle density housing units, duplexes, triplexes, cottage developments, which are more smaller housing units kind of clustered together with shared open space, ADUs for sure, definitely. And I really think this is a goal that you all should adopt, because what we also saw earlier was that 75% of units permitted since January 2020 are still single family. And so that's not really indicative of something I heard from you all, which is that you wanted Fruita to be a place for people to live and work. And that trend is we're just not seeing that right now. So moving on to goal number 2, which is to incentivize infill and redevelopment. And so this works really well with goal number 1 as well, because a lot of infill projects and redevelopment projects aren't your typical single family home subdivision. And it takes advantage of existing infrastructure and services in the city, focusing on stuff available, current assets in the city now, rather than expanding outward. And then on that note, this really aligns with what we heard in the survey, is that folks in the community don't want to see outward expansion. They want to see focused into the current city limits and growth boundaries of Fruita. And so taking some of our strategies and adopting this goal will help you all get into that direction as well. And so then goal number 3, support affordable and workforce housing. And so as we saw in the housing needs by inventory, even if we're going by not the cost status, but the current income distribution of people, we still saw that housing units are needed at all income levels. And so that just requires some form of government intervention and a little bit of subsidization to try to help folks at the lower end of the ladder get on, and then try to help building themselves up so they can aspire to those higher income levels and households. Housing units. And then rent cost burden rentals as well is another sign for this. Rentals in the Fruita Muse was a really great example of something that could happen here, and seeing more developments like the Muse and the Oaks would be really beneficial to the community, because like I said, it's not those big, ugly, boxy, cement poured LIHTC developments. It's supposed to be things that look and still generally feel like Fruita. You have any question on these goals real quick? So jumping into our actual strategies. So we've got, I believe, 5 strategies in goal number 1. And so I'll kind of knock these off and then talk about some of these success metrics that you can measure to see where these are coming. And before I jump into that, these are all layers on the housing action plan that DOLA likes to see based on the bill. Some of them are required, some of them are recommended, whatever that means, but we wanted to put everything into it to make it as maximally useful to you all as well. So for each of these recommended housing strategies, we have required actions that the city or whoever potential actors will need to take. We have those potential actors like the planning department, housing authority, city council, et cetera, the folks that will be implementing those actions. And then those success metrics, measurable things that you guys can see and make sure that these strategies are actually moving along, that they're actually helping, and then a more helpful time frame. And so for the time frame of all of these, we tried to fit this within that 6-year window because the housing needs assessments and action plans need to be redone every 6 years per that for loving SB 24174. So yeah, jumping right back into it then, our first strategy is to support and promote the development of accessory dwelling units. And so some helpful success metrics that you could see here would be the number of ADUs permitted, the number of permits using potentially pre-approved plans that we've got in the recommendation there to help encourage those to make it easier to build them. And then our second would be to expand density bonuses and flexible zoning standards to allow a greater range of housing types, kind of touching back again on the limited housing type that we see right now. This recommendation would kind of be augmenting the current density bonus that's in the city code to try to encourage more of those housing types. And so the number of developments using that new density bonus is a good success metric to track. And then our third one here, update zoning and development codes to encourage multi-unit and missing middle housing such as duplexes, triplexes, townhomes, and cottage court developments. And so we understand that Fruita does support these mostly, at least in name, but in the actual code and what some developers might see, we don't see those keywords in there that'll trigger them to say, hey, this is available, this is what we can build, so maybe we should. So then the number of non-single family home dwellings approved is a good metric to track. So moving on, identify and evaluate opportunities for overlay districts or targeted rezoning to enable redevelopment of underutilized parcels. So this is kind of going back to the LCA and trying to take advantage of those underutilized and underdeveloped properties in the city and using some overlay zones to encourage different kinds of housing units in there as well for redevelopment. And so the number of identified underdeveloped parcels that are redeveloped in this overlay zone could be a good metric to track there. And then develop community education and engagement initiatives to build understanding and support for diverse housing options and density. So this is something that I think you guys should really take seriously because some folks still don't like the whole middle density or the fact that we are even doing this housing needs assessment. And so trying to engage them more and educate them to see how this can help, what it really is. Like I said a number of times, it's not just apartments, it's more, and it still can look like Fruita, and it'll even help the community feel kind of strengthened and try to bring folks back in and bring the community up that way. So the number of attendees at public events and percent increase in your biannual survey response, that would be a good metric to track as well. So into our next goal, we just have two recommended strategies here. Create financial or regulatory incentives. So this could be through the Housing Authority, Downtown Development Authority, Urban Renewal Authority, the Housing Resources of Western Colorado, a really good affordable housing resource here in Mesa County, or local gap funding programs to promote those infill and redevelopment housing. And so then looking at the number of properties that are redeveloped in specific zones, the number of housing units approved on infill properties, and even potentially the amount of gap funding that you all are providing for some of these projects would be good metrics to track to see that this is helping. And so 2.2 here is to conduct feasibility studies for redevelopment or public-private partnership opportunities, preferably with the city leading the way on this to kind of keep some of those control mechanisms to make sure you all are getting out of it what you need on those underutilized or blighted properties within the city, more in the vein of redevelopment. And then the feasibility studies are also really necessary to make sure that there aren't some foregone opportunities or some major costs that are coming up that would actually make the project not useful or could actually hurt the city. So those would be really important to do the full feasibility study on that. And then the outcome would be either the yes or no kind of recommendation to take on this project or not. And so kind of going back to that, another way the city could think about doing this is similar to the Prop 123 land banking grant. Rather than go to the state level to get a grant for some of that method, the city could look to doing that itself to make sure that it maintains the control on those parcels and development agreements to make sure the maximum benefit of those assets. So our last goal here and our last recommendations, identify and pursue sustainable funding sources to support affordable and workforce housing development, including some potential ballot measures or dedicated revenue streams. And so the significance of the gap funding amounts here and then the potential of housing units to be funded with those gap funds would be really good to track, similar to the Oaks redevelopment project there. And then develop or update affordability-oriented zoning tools to increase housing options for a household earning at or below 120% of area median income. So this is really trying to take a step forward in addressing those needs below what the private market will produce in the housing market. And so the number of housing units at 120% AMI or below permitted would be a good tracking metric there. And then our final recommended strategy would be to establish partnerships with regional housing organizations, nonprofit entities, or community land trusts to expand affordable home ownership and preserve long-term affordability. And so while there are renters who are cost burdened, as we saw earlier, it's really hard for folks to purchase homes right now. And so partnering with like community land trusts or trying to take further actions to preserve long-term affordability would be really helpful there. And so potentially the number of community land trust ownership properties that are developed and sold would be a good tracking metric. So after going through all of that, I just wanted to share with you the next steps here. And so obviously right now we're at the final presentation and public hearing, and then we'll have Q&A. We'll kind of go back around, hear from you guys, hear from the public, and then, fingers crossed, adoption of the HNA and the HAP via resolution. And then after that, we will go through and update the report with an appendix that includes comments, questions, and meeting minutes from tonight. That's a requirement for the document to be compliant. And then the formal submission of the report to DOLA through this land use housing implementation portal. And so that just kind of triggers them to know that this is the document for Fruita to meet their requirements. And after that happens, they'll have 90 days to reach out to you all or reach out to Henry to say, yes, this is compliant, or no, it's not. You have to go back and address these things. And so I would just like to say, I don't think there's any possible way that they could send this back. We've talked to DOLA multiple times. They're one of their technical planners for assistance to make sure hit on everything, and we're confident that's the case. And then following that, you would all be able to discuss your priorities and your actions for those strategies for implementation. So with that, we can move towards Q&A.
All right, great. Thank you very much. With that, I would like to open it up to public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to talk about this, both the house or ask questions or make a public comment on the housing needs assessment and or the housing action plan? Once again, 3 minutes. Please state your full name and address for the record.
I will state my name. I'm withholding my address for privacy reasons. It's on file with the city. I still continue to protest to this. I can state my name if it's insisted, but I think that we should move away from that practice, as I've said many times up here. Um, Hearing no insistence. My name is Thomas Wells. I'm on the Planning Commission. I am representing myself tonight. I do not represent Planning Commission or speak on their behalf. But I want to say thank you to staff. Thank you to Points. I think this whole process was really great. I got to engage with them in a number of ways. And I really liked the report that was produced. I think that particularly the takeaways and the bits in the strategies, really top notch. I think there are great examples there and things that Fruita can really learn from. If you haven't had a chance to look at that closely, I'd encourage you to revisit that section in particular. Taking a step back, I think that we hear two things broadly. Housing is too expensive in Fruita, and we don't want more housing. These are obviously at odds with each other. It's a real challenge. That's why we're here, though, to tackle the difficult challenges. Luckily, I think this housing action plan really lays out a way to accomplish both. I think that they do a great job of walking and threading that needle, walking that line, threading that needle of giving us solutions that will work for Fruita. We're not going to get cheaper housing without building more housing. The housing that's out there isn't going to get cheaper magically. But just because we build more housing, we're not necessarily going to get cheaper housing. I think we've seen that as well. I think this is where the housing opponents come in. I think what we hear from them and what they are really concerned about is that they want the character of Fruita and what Fruita makes special to stay the same, right? They want to have that small community. They want it to be walkable. They want to see their neighbors at the grocery store and recognize people. They want to have those like small town interactions. Luckily, what we've heard in this housing assessment is that we're not planning for large amounts of growth. We're planning for less than 1% per year. I think that was missed in some of the executive summary, but that's really not much, and it's a lot less than what we've experienced over the last 10 plus years. So I think there is some opportunity there. And thankfully, the things that keep Fruita's character are also the types of housing that might be cheaper than what we've been getting in the past. It's the missing middle, it's the infill, it's the ADUs, the duplexes, the small homes on small lots. I think that's what's going to get us to the affordable housing that we need. And it's also going to let us keep the things that make Fruita special. As we've seen, business as usual is not going to get us there. And so I think that's where all of you come in, right? All of us come in. We need creativity. We need bold ideas. We need leadership. And we need to be able to reach out to the faction of the community that is not there yet. Fruita special. I love this place. I know you all do as well. I think we want to preserve it, but I think there's a way to make it more affordable and keep it the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. I got lots of questions. I'm assuming you guys do too. Who wants to go first?
Lead out, Mayor.
No, I want somebody else to lead out on this one for a change.
Aaron leading would be a good idea.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. That's wonderful presentation on the data, and of course, it's time to delve into it and take those next steps. But I very much appreciate your presentation and want the slides. I'd love to have those. Just four things. With the documents that you're providing, is there anything that is available to give to potential developers to see this data? That's a good presentation. Like, the packet that we have in our packet is voluminous. Is there a product from what you guys are delivering to us that is a nice summary for potential developers to know, hey, this is what we really are, what we can communicate is like, this is what the community is saying we really need. Please come and build it. And as you presented, non-single family.
Right.
Do a little bit more on that.
Yeah. So what we have done is designed, it's around 5 to 6 pages, an executive summary of all of the key findings in the data. you could share the slides with those folks, but I think the executive summary is a good narrative, but also thoughtfully designed and visually appealing way to communicate our findings here, especially to folks that don't want to read a
200-page document.
yeah, Robin, correct me if I'm wrong, 200-page document.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And just for clarity and transparency purposes, like we've been talking about these guidelines with DOLA, and that's just to meet their thresholds to justify that grant that we got from them. Okay. I think just another statement. This last point is like I think Thomas, you said that this tonight of the growth that you're projecting is consistent with what we've seen, and it's just we have some opportunities to potentially do things to help different segments of the market. So, but I thank you very much for your presentation tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Yeah. You.
Sorry, no, that's it, Aaron?
Yeah, like I have questions that he answer them in the middle of
Fair enough.
so I'd like 4 of them. I'm like, okay, there's the answers. No, that's what I got.
Fair enough. Janine?
I just want to thank you and the entire team. Like, just what a thorough, fantastic job throughout the whole process. I think that you guys have all done. I do have the market driven or needs. I can't remember, but the 390 units. We're projected more than that already. Like in what's being developed right now, are we not, Shannon?
Yeah, as far as like paper lots of what could be developed in the next 10 to 15 years. Yeah.
Is that what number?
Oh, geez, Henry.
I've got a number.
Okay.
Robin can search for this in the report somewhere in the front of the HAP section, but I think it's around 790 units.
That's also what I thought. And that being said, like you have also said, all of that is pretty much not necessarily the kind of housing that we really might, as a council, want to be focusing and really talking about, because those are all still the majority of those are still that single family unit. So I just want to put that out there as we're all considering, and we see a number, oh, this is 3, and if we already have that in our mind, oh, we're beyond that. We've done it. No, we am not. No, but yeah.
That's a really good point you make. Because yes, we do need some of those housing units, but just because those 790 or maybe it's 500 of that 790 are single family homes, that doesn't mean you're hitting on all of the affordability.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I had the numbers in my mind correctly. So thank you for that. And then also in the deep dive report, not just the highlights here, but the deep dive, like just again, one more clarification is the AMI for Fruita versus the county is different. The county is the 95 and Fruita, I believe, is at 70 something.
Yeah. So this is a fun little detail that HUD and Census don't tell you, is that they're in cahoots and that they create a number that's not published anywhere else. And so HUD defines the area median income as basically the median family income. So that's why it's typically higher than the median household income. So yeah, in the report, we have Fruita's household income around 77,000 probably. So that's not quite the median family income, but yes, Fruita's median household income is probably a bit lower than the region.
Okay. So I just also wanted to make sure for the public and all of us that may have not reached that point in our reading yet, just to take that into account while we're taking all of this information in. I literally have cried twice over this report just because, like, the fact that the median price of buying, of a purchase price is 500 and whatever, is just honestly heartbreaking. And so I really hope that whoever is next to tackle this up here really dives in.
Well, don't give up now.
Well, I'm not giving up. I'm just also not presuming. So, yeah.
I'll jump in with a couple. So I read through this twice now, and part of the challenge I think you guys have is you provide a lot of data. When you get a lot of data, which we didn't have before, it then opens up more questions, and it's kind of this can of worms. I appreciate the fact that you brought up like water and you water with all of that. I'm having a problem, like in terms of the needs assessment, in terms of what's there. Is there any, how does available services play into that? So you touched on water, electric is another one, and I know the city works well with Excel and, you know, Grand Valley to make sure that that's there. But we have like limited, we have a grocery store. And I know everybody knows there's a huge demand for a larger second one, but there's that. But then there's also support services like our hospital. So and I'm sitting there struggling and maybe looking for some guidance of, okay, if we talk about the ladder, people go up, then they downside, and we need this kind of many, but I mean, is there any consideration? Well, our hospital can only support this much. And I know it's a little chicken and egg, it grows, then St. Mary's moves out and
Yeah.
kind of that stuff.
Yeah, it's a good question. And so we did try to address water as specifically as we could, like you mentioned. We asked Ute Water some questions and they gave us some responses, and we typed that up and fluffed it up a little bit. But they didn't provide us a whole lot of data for us to like get in the weeds on that part. But it is still an important question, and we didn't have a way to directly address those needs, like with the growth you've already pointed out to the need for a new grocery store or potentially expanding the hospital. But because I personally, maybe not, I don't know personally, but it's hard to do all of that within this one study. And so I guess that would be one thing for you guys to take forward here too, is to say, okay, this is how much growth we're projected. Maybe check with your major providers in the area and say, hey, are we consistent with this? Like, are you guys able to handle this? If not, we need to think about, partnering and looking at some next steps there too. But it would have been pretty hard for us to do that in particular. I think though I did see the current public facilities, like in terms of wastewater and water production, the city has a semi-recent expansion, and so it's at
50%.
capacity.
50%.
50%.
A little under. Yeah.
Little under. So still good in that regard. I hope we might have touched on that somewhere in our literature review in the port, maybe not. But that's about as direct as we could get here.
Sorry, I missed that. The 50%. What was that reference to?
Yeah, that's our capacity at the reclamation facility. No.
So one of the things I was hoping to help get some guidance off of this, and we've talked about this as a council, is see the different needs, but also trying to balance location of where those needs go. We've had feedback where the muse is in terms of, are we putting too much of this type of housing in this area, just like there's so much single family housing here. What would be the next steps or guidance in terms of helping us think about, I see this map, but this doesn't necessarily say we need this kind of over here because of workforce or whatever it might be. How do we start to get our arms wrapped around that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so in terms of workforce specifically, I think inside the triangle and the neighborhood commercial overlay, these two areas in the middle here, that's where jobs seem to be concentrated in the area. So like those infill and redevelopment opportunities in those areas are a particularly good thing to look towards. One of the other issues is that you can kind of, it's almost a little bit like a donut, where there's a lot of redevelopment potential in the middle, and then you can see right on the outskirts of that, it's pretty built out with the subdivisions and such, and then you get outside to the edges where there's a lot more vacant land. And so I guess an economist answer to your question is it depends. But it depends on the land that you have to work with and where it can go. But for employment and workforce specifically, I think focusing inward on those redevelopment opportunities is good. but it really does depend on where the land is located, and focusing inward will help reduce those infrastructure expansion costs, help rely on stuff that's already there. I don't have a map of the utility availability everywhere in the city, but obviously the closer to the center, the more available the services are going to be. And so that's typically where you should focus on housing. Around transportation as well is pretty helpful. There was a component of that in the HAP, but Fruita and not even the Grand Valley Transit has the transportation that meets the frequent stop requirement, which is like a bus or transportation comes every like 15 minutes or so.
It's like 30, yeah.
Yeah, but it's longer than that, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I would say as far as where it should go. Everyone is probably going to give you a different answer on where the housing should go, and that's okay. But I think it's also good to remember that it also depends on who owns the land. Why should I be able to tell someone else what to do with their property? And so if someone wants to build housing there, then like come up here and, say you're against the development, but if it's not your property, you follow the rules and the laws in place in the city and let it go forward or not, depending on what happens. And so that's kind of a long way of answering your question.
Thanks for asking that.
And then Thomas actually touched on this a little bit when he came up for his 3 minutes. But as I'm reading through this, I don't know about you guys, I'm struggling with, looking at the needs assessment. I've got some questions, and like all of you, but then people say I want it, but nobody wants it near them. And then trying to balance that out is, it's great on a piece of paper, but when you're sitting up here and trying to figure that out and wrestle with it, that's a tough one, at least for me.
I think it always will be.
I'm sure we can hash it out when we really do.
Well, and you did touch on, community education and engagement, which I think is important. We know where there's a disconnect between what people want and what they think that they don't want. But what I didn't see was any like real world examples of how these things are already being done. For example, Cottonwoods subdivision, single family homes, fourplexes, duplexes, townhomes, but that really wasn't incorporated into this to show the people of Fruita as they were taking this survey. Like, we actually have areas of Fruita that have done this and have been successful. So like, how do we?
That's on us. We show those examples. We need to take that exact thing, like show that historically, and even if you're looking at our very core, we have those mixes. Historically they did that. They had the small houses next to the big houses. We had fourplexes, we had duplexes, we had boarding houses, all in the same, the same space. It wasn't until we went to large subdivisions that we got these bigger divides of housing types. So I think showing, what does that actually look like? Like when we're talking about these housing types, when you show them real examples, they're like, oh, okay, it's not all the concrete, the big box apartment buildings,
It's not a new concept.
Yeah. And some people don't even know they're already living next to it. I've talked to people and I'm like, you have this in your neighborhood, like this, this is a duplex that's 3 houses down from you. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know that was there. So yeah, I think that's on us to do exactly what you're saying. Like, show, here's your neighborhood that, that's what it looks like.
And one thing to point out there too, on that note, is how convoluted AMI and affordable housing have gotten. Because affordable housing has that connotation of being solely, 0 to 30, 0 to 50%. Because that's how it used to be, but that's not what it is anymore. For affordable housing, we're talking about what income level is it affordable to now?
Exactly.
And so going along those lines in your future education is particularly helpful. Like if you are permitting units that are affordable, but it's a single family home subdivision that's capped at 120% AMI, and workers that live in Fruita, that's not what they don't want to see. They want to see that. So it's that sort of education piece is really important.
I think, sorry to interrupt. I think another thing to kind of reconsider is as about 5 years have passed since we adopted our comprehensive plan. When we went through that exercise, that year-long exercise, reaching out to the public, we did go through those efforts at community open houses and presented different housing types on these boards. And we had folks from the public put stickers on those pictures. And actually, the stickers have since fallen off, but the pictures still remain. They're in my office, and it's a good reminder to staff that the goal of the community was to diversify housing. And although new housing types that have slowly been generated over time as these developments, inch by inch complete themselves, are continuing to be that product. However, the Mulberry apartments, the Mesa apartments, the 535 West Aspen apartments, the Muse, and the Oaks redevelopment have all occurred since the comp plan was adopted. And so we have seen some progressive change towards meeting the intent of the comp plan. And so I feel like it's good practice to reevaluate your comp plan every 10 years. We're 5 years into it, and we're still seeing some of those nice results that the community wanted. Now we have the housing action or the housing needs assessment and action plan required by the state, I think, to further some of the great things that Fruita was already doing and amending some of the stuff in our comp plan and our code to continue to get those outcomes that we so desirably need in our community.
Want to go around the room? Amy, anything else?
Nope. I mean, I've been deep in this for the whole time. I do want to say, like, you guys have been fantastic to work with. I was impressed from the very start. Really well done.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rich?
I'd just say this is a very complex issue and very important as I've come onto the council as to what you have all conveyed in the desire of both the comprehensive plan, all of this. I think the way you presented this makes it, me, understandable and such that I think I can make a good decision on what to do going forward.
Thank you.
I have nothing further, but I just am really grateful. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I look forward to talking further about it and debriefing as with each of us and with staff and going forward. It's nice to have a little bit more help in for us to make decisions.
For sure. It's going to be
This is a lot to digest.
Yes.
good exercise to tackle for sure.
All right, and I'm looking forward to conversations, kind of
Yeah.
looping back, saying, hey, let's go back to the document.
Yeah.
Yep. James?
I thought it was all great. The only information that I didn't get that I would be interested in, and I don't really know how it even applies, but it would be nice to know how many homes are secondary investments and owned from people that don't live here and things like that, because I think that has a somewhat of an effect on the overall cost and availability of what we have. So that would be nice to know, but I know that that's probably kind of a little bit outside of the scope of what this actually was. But that's just the question that I have bouncing around in my head is, that median price of 530 that used to be 300, 10 years ago, how many of those homes wouldn't have been purchased, wouldn't put us in this position right now? Not that we can even do anything about that. I mean, that's just what it is, but that was just something that I would be curious to know.
Well, if you have the facts, it can help you, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's something that we can pull data from what we have. Like, for example, I'm thinking like utilities. If you compare owner data versus utilities, and if it's a different one, there's a high likelihood that it's a rental versus not. Is that something that we can pull some of that data that we have internally and work with?
So one one method that you could try. It's probably not perfect, and we haven't said that this is for sure an indicator, but you can look at the county assessor's data and look at home versus site address. And so if those aren't the same, that could be an indicator. I don't know for sure, but that's one thing that we've looked at in the past.
We might be able to.
Did
It would just be
You
interesting.
did, and maybe you didn't. But I thought you did look at vacation rental homes and where they are and the size of those homes and versus the need of like kind of where that kind of home fits in regards to what demographic of people, income wise. Did you do that?
Yeah,
I thought so. That is in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that part specifically might not be in there, but I did do it and I talked to Henry about it. And so just the high level findings there is that it depends on the property in terms of what income level it would be affordable at if it were renter occupied or owner occupied rather than short-term rental.
Okay. But we have some version of that. Henry now has some version of that. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
One quick thing, Mr. Mayor, you can track the vacancy or like the sort of transient nature of like housing with water consumption. And so we could likely be able to figure out like how many secondary homes there are based off of that.
Oh, by water use?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, thank you. Anything else? So
Well, wait, if I'll say, so, okay, so if we did, I hate to dive into this, but this is really the only things that I see a solve kind of in there somewhere possibly. If we did go through and find out that we had a bunch of homes that were doing that what would be a recommendation to you that you guys would have that we could do to minimize that type of a thing? And again, it's tough because it's people's property. They have the right to do what they want. They also have the right to sell and buy, and I don't want to stop that. But at the same time, it's at the detriment of everyone else.
Yeah.
So is there suggestions that you guys have to deal with those types of situation if you find that that's
Yeah, so one possibility, and I don't know the legality of such a thing in Colorado, but you could look into workshopping an ordinance to discourage that kind of behavior. So in terms of like vacancy, we saw this in Arizona. Our client, the city of Bisbee, they adopted a vacant and abandoned ordinance that would additionally tack on more and more fees on top of their property taxes if they're not there and taking care of their property. That might be hard here because the property might not be dilapidated or
Sure.
going that way. But I would encourage. Sorry, I strike that from the record. I would look into.
And I'm not trying to hand tie you anything, and I don't even expect that we're going to go down this road. I'm just curious too.
So
I'm sure that there's communities that have dealt with this.
Yeah.
And they probably got a lot of pushback for it, but still, I want to know the information.
Yeah, you're probably, and I think you're right. But as an economist, I would say that that price is an important indicator and cost. And so finding a way to turn the cost up on that, if that's something that you don't want, then do that, because then you can recoup revenue from that behavior that you don't want to see, and you can put it towards something else. Or people will stop doing that.
Sure.
Or incentivizing people to be proactive with different.
Mary,
she's popping up.
Elizabeth,
Voice of God's coming in. She's gonna crush me.
I'm going to crush you a little. I'm going to crush you a little bit, James.
Kind of a thing there. And
So-
that it's probably not even something that I want to support, but it's something that I want to know.
Sure. So I just wanted to jump in. Colorado, we've got Tabor. And so that's a whole different landscape for, changing taxes, imposing a fee, whether it is a fee, that sort of thing. So I would just, say that council is inclined to kind of try to look down that road, I think it's going to be a real uphill battle here to do something like that. Now, you could certainly do something potentially with like sewer fees, that if, a property is vacant, they actually, right now, I think you guys actually have a rule where people can turn their sewer off for a while, which I think is crazy, if they leave town. So, in this instance, make sure that that just stays on. Like, I would get rid of that potential uh, benefit, I guess I should say, for folks who leave town. So I think there are some ways you could maybe address it, but just caution you that, Tabor is unique to Colorado and, always throws a wrench in things.
Yeah, that's why I'm not an attorney.
No, thanks for everything, man.
Anything else, James?
No, I'm good.
All right, one last chance, looking around. All right, is there a motion?
Yep. I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08, the Housing Needs Assessment and Housing Action Plan as prepared to serve as guiding policy documents for future housing-related decisions and implementation efforts.
Second.
You picked him.
Okay.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, hearing none. Deb, please poll council.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
and Counselor Parrish.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, and thank you once again to Points for all the work on this. All right, from that, we're going to jump into our city manager's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Very quick city manager's report for you tonight. Just a few upcoming special events, as I'm sure will be shared during council reports. We do have our third winter concert next Friday in Mulberry Plaza. Almost Utah will be performing, and that goes from 6 to 8, but stuff will be happening down there from 5 to 8 as well. So I know staff and I are really looking forward to that. I think it will be really nice night for it. Doesn't seem like winter quite these last couple months, but yeah, should be a great night for music out there. I'm sure Councilor Purse will bring this up, but there was a question during Arts and Culture Board about the city potentially being a sponsor at Cocovino. So I was talking to Ciara and Mark about this, and I had offered up maybe the city sponsor some of it in exchange for tickets that we normally get, for city council. So I think we'd like to open that up. If anybody from city council would like to attend Cocovino, right now it's scheduled for March 7th, 2026 from 6 to 8:30. Tickets will go on sale very soon, but if you want to attend with the +1, why don't you shoot either Katie and I over an email, and we will get those reserved for you. In exchange for that, we'll probably just throw some sponsorship dollars at the event this year. Other things coming up, we're making some really good progress on South Mesa Street. Sanitary sewer in front of the Fruita thrift store was close to be completed last week. Some access was open off of the highway into Fiesta last week. Also, the concrete and sidewalk we've been working on as well. So we'd like to organize a tour for council if interested. We could do a lunch tour, so we could provide lunch if you want to go look at the construction, but also get some lunch out of it. It's incredible project, and to kind of see everything they're working on, I think it's would be a good idea. So we'll shoot over some availability. We could also, if availability doesn't work, we could also schedule it during before one of our regular meetings, or even during or shortly thereafter. But I think if our contractors on site, that'll also be beneficial to see some of the stuff that they're working on. There are some impacts to local businesses that we've been trying to communicate a lot and as much as we can. Some access is limited right now to the alley, so we're working on ways that we can hopefully support those local businesses during that time. And then finally, at our next regular meeting, we've just learned that the Department of Local Affairs has opened a very limited energy impact grant program. So we've had a lot of success with these grants from DOLA, a lot of success with sewer projects recently. So we haven't brought this to council yet, but in our budget, we do have a pretty sizable sewer line replacement along Maple Street over to McCune by Reed Park. So we're just going to move forward with applying for that project. So we'll have a letter of support for at our next meeting for that project. The window is very limited. We just heard about it last week, and applications are due in about 2.5 weeks. So we're trying to jump on that as soon as we can. Of course, funding is limited as well. So yep, that's all I have. Always happy to answer questions during reports and actions.
Thank you very much. With that, and bringing it back to council for council reports and actions. I do, Shannon, have a question that was brought up on address. And Mary Elizabeth, I'm glad you're on the call. I know, Shannon, you and I have talked about this, and doing some quick research, there was conflicting information in terms of providing your address is required by law, and others that it wasn't. I don't know if we've come to a resolution on that, but I think that is something we can kind of put on the list to make sure, once again, because I saw some communities required it by law and others did.
I was going to bring that up too, because I was wondering that even if it is required by law, just to have it down, not like not announced verbally. Like if you want to speak, you write your name and address. That is kept somewhere private within the.
I think it is important to know who is addressing us as far as like, are you one of our tax paying, citizens, or are you, from a random neighborhood, you're a random community that doesn't really,
I know other communities, I'm not saying it happens here.
I appreciate the concern for privacy. Like, I agree. I think that having it a more private interface would be really great. But I also appreciate knowing who we're hearing from. I really value, even if you just say, I am a Fruita resident, or and then have that.
So Mary Elizabeth, your thoughts?
I mean, I can look at to whether or not it's legally required. I would say providing your name is necessary for the record. It's just like any, staff announces their name when they're speaking. I mean, this is so that you have a complete record of minutes to understand, who was there and who spoke. But, to Amy's point, I think, being able to just say something like, I am a resident of Fruita, or I live in the county, or I'm here visiting and think you guys have a great meeting going on. That's, I mean, you never know with this new, promotional gig, like you might get some people coming in to watch. So in any event, the tradition behind that, though, has been, for the record, just to have an accurate record of who was there. Unfortunately, any information provided to the city cannot be kept somewhere private. It is public information. So same thing when somebody sends an email, public comment, now their email is public because that is going to go in the record and it's subject to Cora.
Yeah.
If we can look, I just remember doing a quick lawyer Google search and saw some conflicting stuff.
I can do some research and pin that down specifically.
That would be great.
Thank you.
And I think just aspects of like, what's the standard? What can we do or not do in addition to? Like, what's the flexibility that we have? Like, let's just say the state says, oh, you can say name and city, but it's like, no, we want address. Are we allowed to say address or not?
Yeah.
I'm not saying we would, but it'd be nice to just.
I think we just need to get the information and kind of
set a policy for comment.
Yes. And then do we have any idea when we'll hear back from CML, whether or not we are speaking?
No, not yet. They haven't announced the conference yet. I mean, they've announced dates, but they haven't announced like sessions or anything like that. So no, I'm not sure when. Westminster. Yeah.
Okay. And once again, we're going to find that awkward spot because of the timing of when registration opens and when our elections are. With that, and then just start fellowship on Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of excited about that. Um, the first meeting starts at 1 o'clock on Thursday. We have Phil Weiser speaking, Governor Owens is speaking. I think Polis will be there. I think there's one more former governor there. And it's
And where
It's day one.
is that at the?
Denver at a hotel.
Okay.
It has art in the beginning of it that I'm just put into my GPS and it will take me there. It's 4 hours and 9 minutes from my house.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll report back on that. All right, who'd like to go next? Rich.
I have nothing.
All right.
I did go to Arts and Culture Board meeting this past week, and because Coco Vino is coming up for January and February, they're having 2 meetings a month, and so I'll be going next week as well and report back. But it was a great meeting. As you saw tonight, we did appoint, or there was a recommendation and we approved a new member on that board. And then there was another interested party that was there too. So both of those 2 people that we interviewed were actually at the meeting. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to adding more people, and the entire board is basically new anyways within a year of being on the board. And so it's fun, and they're putting their own flavor and identity on things. And it was a really good meeting. I do have a question, however, because we could not vote on anything
Oh, yeah.
because the bylaws are weird for that board, because there are X amount of seats and something in the bylaws. It doesn't say, like, we're not full seat wise. But it's almost like the bylaws are going off of what it would look like if it was full. So you have to have a quorum based on not whatever I can't remember if it's 9 or 12 people that is allowed on that board, but you have to have that many people, not just half of the actual members you have. And I think Shannon and Mary Elizabeth chatted about maybe changing those bylaws. So I'm checking back in on that.
Yeah, we definitely did. There is some terminology in those bylaws that we don't use in any other bylaws, and I'm trying to find them right now. But it's our interpretation that it has to be at least a majority of the membership, as like the membership that are outlined in the bylaws compared to the actual membership. So we can bring that amendment. I brought it up a few meetings ago just because I actually didn't know if we would have quorum, and the board needed to appoint a chair. So we're going to move it forward, but then we did. So then we held off. But it might be something that could be useful just for some clarifying.
Definitely would, because
stuff,
again,
yeah.
they were held at not being able to have, they were not able to vote again on anything at this not again. The last time they had enough and they were able to, but this time around they did not have enough members to vote, even though they had more than half of the current membership there. So I just wanted to bring that up again because I knew we had chatted about it for a minute, and I wanted to make
From a
sure.
procedural standpoint on that, council has to review and adjust the
Exactly.
bylaws.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. For exactly correct.
That'd probably be a good.
It says a majority of board members of record.
Oh, well, then it should
then
be
it's
okay.
Should be good then.
Yeah, then that was fine.
Is it okay, Mary Elizabeth?
Of record.
She said
Is she there?
at the time it was of the total instead of not the actual. But we'll bring back an amendment.
Okay.
Bring it.
Okay. Thank you. And then because I've been having some email issues that I didn't know about until today, but I was wanting to send some things to Shannon, but I also wanted to bring it up to you all and ask a couple questions. There's some housing development north of Fruita up 19 Road in the county, several housing developments in the county that will have actual impact on us as a city because they're 81521 and the services will be all, I mean, like they'll be shopping here infrastructure wise, where to my knowledge, and please correct me if I'm wrong because I hope I am, there's been no teamwork involved from the county and the city to sort of make sure that we can handle said developments. Is there a way to have a better partnership with that? Is there a way? How can we make that a easier transition? And I've also been receiving lots of emails from residents up there. They full well know that they're not city residents, but they also understand the impact it will have on us and on the city. And I would like some more direction and clarification and hopefully find a way for a better partnership between
Sure.
the two entities in this regard.
Excuse me. So typically when a subdivision or development happens within kind of our planning influence area, or we do have there's a URR boundary within the county, which is always also encumbered by the Fruita 20110. It's the area that we plan to serve with sanitary sewer. So there are restrictions from the county as far as how development density is concerned. You need a certain size acreage in order to even subdivide a parcel off. We typically had been getting legal notice or public notice from the county with their postcards on developments within those specific areas, not just 19 Road, but up like towards L Road or 15 Road. We seem to have not been getting some of those. If they do come to us and they're fairly close to, our urban growth boundary, we would typically like to inform, the council and the public that, obviously this is outside of the city of Fruita, but also has those impacts on some shared utilities like roads and downtown infrastructure. So we can get some more information if you'd like from the county on the recent developments and maybe follow back up.
There's also, I'll send this to you, the emails, but it also from a county employee it appears like they did not have to have a public comment time to make approving this this development also. And so if there is any way that everybody should get to have a time to say. So again, even though it's not our jurisdiction, I'm just wondering where public comment may be sent if need be.
Yeah.
Just not this current set of commissioners, but the ones prior. I had a fair amount of conversation with them because I had similar concerns and got very strong pushback, especially because we have those enclaves.
Yep.
And the pushback was very much, well, they're county residents and we do not want to take away their property rights to do what they want. And it was very much, once again, it's the prior group of commissioners that it was very much, no, we're going to do it this way. And
I get it. I understand.
but it may be worth reaching back out
Yeah.
because there's new people on that and just saying, hey, is there an opportunity here?
That'd be just
And some of that pushback came from Cody, who represents this area.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. We haven't received any emails to staff at least. So at least forwarding those would be helpful. Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else?
That is it.
Aaron?
Nothing.
I do have something quick, but I want to reserve that for a second because I know we had a question / comment out in the crowd about parking, maybe.
So I'm
just following up on, okay.
We have that conversation after the meeting.
After the meeting. I tried. Okay. We had a really lovely conversation with the Museums of the West tonight from 5:30 to 6:30. Some really interesting information and some options and ideas kind of being talked about as far as the revitalization. And I don't want to go into that so much as I want to share as the liaison to that organization that there will be January 23rd, this Friday, an event from 5 to 6:30. They have gotten several animatronic dinosaurs in, making some other improvements to Dinosaur Journey, and just kind of wanted to get other people as excited about that as I am. So that was all I had.
Great, thank you. James.
So I wanted to talk about the Dream Factory or the Idea Factory. You guys are doing awesome. It's cool to see the alley cleaned out, see the trash bins and then I saw that they cleaned it. Are they going to come to us in a workshop coming up soon?
Yeah.
I figured they would, but
Yep.
I wanted to.
Actually, next Tuesday, we'll present updates on our current project and also potential future projects as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alleyway looks great.
It happened there.
Yeah.
I have police commission tomorrow. I think I have something my wife told me, and I don't know for sure. Possible if anybody could cover for me tomorrow at 6. Is that something that somebody could do? No. Okay. Well, I will try and get out of the thing with my wife because I don't really think it was something I wanted to do anyway.
Record, be careful.
Yeah, but I'm in trouble probably anyway. No, I'm just kidding. I'll see. I think she had something for us, but I might miss that. And then for some crazy reason, because of this question I just asked, I have to look like this guy that wants to just shut down all this kind of stuff, which I kind of do when it comes to Airbnbs. But I'm curious about the place that we just bought, that it was an Airbnb, right?
It was.
I know we had talked about what we were going to do with the threshold of 65, and I don't know that we ever moved forward with that.
There were notes in the report in terms of, and I'm going from memory, it was like 2.6%. You talking about that reference?
No, I'm talking about not giving out another Airbnb license. So I was just curious because we never did get to a point where we said where it was going to be a limit or past or less.
We adopted this, we'll reevaluate.
Okay, because I was just curious because that right there just took one off of the market, right? And I would be really stoked to not see it get passed on to somebody else. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
All right, let's have that conversation before we hand out more Airbnb licenses.
I don't know if
I'm just asking a question.
do that. I think we'd have to change it before. We can't just say we're going to put up. Yeah.
I'm just curious but how does that work?
Somebody has assured me that now that we have this report, this will be coming back up.
It very much needs to come back up. Yeah, I was hoping it didn't just get lost in the ether. But it dawned on me when you said that she was using it for a short-term rental. It's like, oh, wait, is somebody else going to get that license now? Because it'd be nice if they didn't. But anyway.
It does not go along with the property.
No, I understand that, but was there another person in line and some kind of
Yep.
get in the way before we can stop them? I said that out loud, didn't I?
Yeah,
I did. All right. Oh,
Again.
yeah, it's okay.
All right. Anything else?
No, I'm good for now. I got myself in enough trouble at home and here. I'm good.
I'm glad I'm last because I have several things. Sorry, guys. First, I wanted to acknowledge we lost a really amazing Fruita resident this week, George Pickens, who has contributed really wonderful things pretty much his entire life. He passed away, so I just wanted to in memory of him and send condolences to his family. That's just another good long timer gone. So we had a really great livability commission meeting. There were two lovely ladies from Strive who presented to us about their program, specifically about hiring our residents who have special needs. They have a really great program for supporting that, and they've been reaching out to several local businesses. They're trying to really they have a few of residents who specifically live in Fruita who want to be able to work and it's just a few hours a week, but
and they also came to the chamber after hours.
Yes. Good. We really encourage. Okay, good. But don't be surprised if we see something. Livability was kind of talking about maybe bringing something to council, which I was really excited about because we've been encouraging our commission, our boards and commissions to do that. So stay tuned on that. That was pretty cool. I met with Emily Larson, who is the principal at Monument Ridge Elementary School. She had reached out to me, just wanted to chat about the Muse and the potential for moving forward and what their experience has been. And we talked for a really long time. It was almost a 2-hour, just real deep dive. And I really, really appreciated her sharing her perspective and her experience and some of the things she's seen and been through. And she also brought a really neat idea that was kind of separate from that, to honor Omer Bernheide, whose property the school was, built on. She really would like to see like a big plaque or something that specifically honors him. There's a bench out in the courtyard area that is, dedicated to the Bernheide family, but she really appreciated, his input as they were building and just what he stood for and the history he stood for in Fruita. So I am hopeful that it's appropriate that I bring that maybe to the Historic Preservation Board, that maybe that's something that we could kind of collaborate and help facilitate. But I thought that might be a really neat, and then just really great input for future discussions about the Muse too. There were several things that I didn't know about that I was really glad and would love to share that with you guys. I attended the economic impacts of agriculture presentation last night, which was really a neat. I have the link for that that I can share with you guys. It's a pretty quick, there's a ton of data. Oh my gosh, there's so much data, but he did a really great job of making it easy to digest. So I can send that to Shannon, and then if you can share, if you wouldn't mind. I think it's just a really great, thing to have on your radar. And the things that Ag West group with the business incubator, the things they're doing are just incredible. And the representation of the Western Slope, really, really cool. Oh my gosh. I don't know how there has to be like 4 of her.
Yes, exactly.
Like there has to be Janie clones. I don't know how she does all of the things. I also presented at the Martin Luther King celebration. That was really great. It was warm this year. Normally, I've done that. Like that's my 4th time being there, and we are usually freezing. And yesterday it was almost hot. Like this weather's just weird, but it was an amazing. Like the weather, I think, encouraged a big turnout. So there was the biggest turnout I've seen. Little kids, everybody. That was super cool to be able to represent Fruita for that. As we're talking about housing stuff for the future, can we update this map behind us? It's very out of date. And so like, as we're, I think we're going to be having a lot of conversations where we're going to be wanting to reference. This one's, it shows generally where things are, but as far as like some of our newer developments within the last maybe 10 years, they're not on there, I don't think.
Dan's going to take a note of that because my computer died.
Thanks, Dan. You're a
There's a few. I think there's one on the back.
you're a homie. I think
That one's
right. Yeah.
yeah, that one might be, but I just think it would be really nice to have just
There's one downstairs like that too.
yeah. And then this one's kind of separate, but we're having a lot of discussions about unfunded mandates with the county and government affairs committee. We've been talking about some of those things with the chamber. Is there a way, could you maybe let me know like how many of those are affecting? I was asked how many are affecting specifically the city, and I know we have several. Is there a way to maybe compile those? If it's crazy labor intensive, that's fine. Or maybe if you can just give me an idea of some of those. That question's come up a couple times.
Right.
And I can tell them, yes, I know we have them, but I don't know what yet to
get it, even if it takes a little bit of time.
I think it would be fantastic information to have. And especially because now community members are asking, and some of them who are very involved, with some of these discussions. So if we could get that information, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's everything. Whew. Went as fast as I could.
So Aaron kind of tangentially brought this up. You've brought this up. Um,
You're talking about the elementary school?
yes, in terms of, as we're going through and there may be a proposal for what to do with the other property. Perhaps it is time that we go through and ask them to come in and just have in a workshop and just have that discussion.
They being,
The school.
yeah, okay.
So as we start these conversations, if this project moves forward, we have the opportunity to alleviate,
Yeah.
or not alleviate, but have ways to kind of adjust.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily have the same problems twice.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think their concerns, they were very, very valid. And they were things that a few of them I knew, but like some of them I had no idea, and they're definitely disproportionately affected, when you consider like everybody else. I think it's definitely something we need to include in that
So
conversation.
let's, if we can add it to a workshop so we can kind of work through it and see if there's ways to address this moving forward. Would be awesome.
Shannon's computer.
Yeah.
Dan.
So much information packed in these last 3 minutes. Oh, Dan, can you really make a note?
Or rudely, whichever.
All right.
Rudely make a
Anybody
note.
have anything else?
Sorry, I had one more thing, but the livability reminded me that I went to the community garden meeting last week, and it was super well attended. It went really good. Really, it just was good. Everyone was energized, excited, and also had a lot of somewhat expertise within the group of people that.
That's what they said. There were a lot of master gardeners
Yes,
that
have been like,
came.
yeah, but for real, not just, thinking that you are and then you don't. But, and so I really, it's going to be great. And it was, I think both, Steve and Mark, who were the staff there, just felt really, really happy about how that went. And I was really thrilled with how it went too. So yeah, it's exciting.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
James, you said you wanted to go into executive session? So I heard that earlier. My mistake. All right, since we do not have an executive session, it's not required. The time is 9:43. This meeting is adjourned.
Yay.
Oh, the clock's off and I was like, it's only 8.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
Got a little too happy.
It's been that through the whole meeting.
Hi, we started.
Oh, it's not even, that's funny. It's not even changing.
No,